Hey guys, Adrian here for Digital Dojos, and today is my WWDC 2012 overview. I am all suited up. I am coming back. I just came back actually today. As many of you know, I took a week and a half of absence. I was in the Philippines for leave with for my family and all of that. I had a good time. Got to spend a lot of time with family and all of that. A lot of going out and all of that. Just quality time that obviously is priceless. And I did a lot of obviously shopping there and all that, and I actually got the suit there, and I came on the plane all dressed up and all that, so I didn't have to carry everything around. But and I knew I had to cover WWDC, and this year it bummed me out because I was on the plane. I didn't get to cover it live. I was flying, I landed in Korea. 5 in the morning there, so 5 a.m. in Korean time, or this side of the world anyway. And then WWDC just got done. The keynote wasn't available yet, but obviously I got all the coverage. And I was expecting to shoot a video in the airport, but because I had a 3-hour layover, but I ended up talking with some friends and stuff like that about some work that I need to get done. Anyways, I'm home now. Without further ado, you can read my full write-up. I literally just got done watching the full keynote, wrote up a pretty long article here. If you're still into traditional reading and all that, you can see everything I summarized in the keynote, or summarized everything that happened in the keynote and my opinions on it. So let's talk about it. So first off, obviously, they always start off with the keynote talking about statistics and all that. They have their 400 million store accounts, 650,000 apps in the App Store, all that great stuff. And they had a really great video showing their global reach, basically, the applications, because this is all about developers and applications. The majority of this is all about, the new things to come and the new things the developers will get to play with, and how these, I guess, applications play into the role of many, many people in different ways, from kids to people who are blind and all of this stuff. It was a really great video that you can check out in the keynote, or I'm sure it'll be online as well. But let's go start off into the Mac lineup, because that's what they talked about first, what they updated in the Mac lineup. And first up, they talked about the MacBook Air. So the MacBook Air still looks the same, but it is now faster than ever. It's getting its Ivy Bridge. This is a 3rd generation Intel chip upgrade. So it's got its Ivy Bridge update, and I have my little notes right here. It's the 3rd gen Ivy Bridge chipset, upgraded with Intel graphics 4000 or something like that. HD 4000 is the inbuilt graphics. It's 60% faster than the last time's graphics processor. USB 3.0 ports that are also compatible with 2.0 ports. So they have, I believe, 2 USB 3.0 ports on the MacBook Air, up to 2.0 gigahertz dual core i7, or is it 2.0? I think it's actually a little bit higher, but they also have now available up to 512 gigabytes of flash storage. So that's SSD storage, and the reason SSD storage is so important on the MacBook Air, obviously SSDs are much more thinner than traditional hard drives, and they are much more faster, again, because they're flash memory. Along with up to 8 gigabytes of RAM now you can configure, and it's faster RAM. It's, I think, 1600 megahertz RAM available now on the MacBook Air. They have the 11-inch model that goes up to there's 1.7 gigahertz i5s. There's a 13-inch Air with 1.8 gigahertz. You have different options ranging from the 128 gigabyte to the 256 gigabyte SSD, and I think the base model runs at $1,000 for the 1.7 gigahertz 11-inch Air, and the base model for the 13-inch Air runs at $1,200. So, with that, they moved on to the MacBook Pro. They did some traditional upgrades to your traditional 13 and 15-inch, pretty standard updates. Again, the same thing as the MacBook Air. A little bit of graphics and, the 3rd generation Ivy Bridge. But then they talked about a new category, and that's combining kind of the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro. A really portable, light machine with really powerful hardware. And my traditional laptop when I'm on the go, this is my very, very old 1st gen MacBook. I'm sure a lot of you remember this. White balance went all off there. But anyways, this is the first time I saw a keynote, and I really, MacBook Pros have always been a great machine, and I've never truly been a fan of laptops or notebooks, but this is the first time I saw a keynote, and I was truly, not innovated, but urged to go out and buy the new or the next generation MacBook Pro. So they unveiled it. It is now 25% thinner than the traditional or current MacBook Pros. It features only, on the 15-inch display, it features a Retina display. Again, it's only on the 15-inch model. A Retina display that is just gorgeous. And if you guys have an iPhone 4S or a iPad 3, I'm sure a lot of you have, or, I've gotten recently, or the new iPad, I guess, you'll really appreciate the detail on a Retina display. And a Retina display is something that you can't really see in video. You can't really, there's a lot of people try to capture, but it's something you need to hold. It's something you need to try out and use. I know after using iPhone 4S for a while, when I ever use a friend's 3G or 3GS, the screen just looks so poor quality. Details, colors, everything in the Retina display is really just that much better. It's I think a 2880 by 1800 LED backlit IPS display, so it's tons and tons of pixels. They did like the math there, millions of pixels. I know it's higher resolution than an HD TV now, so this MacBook Pro is going to have a really awesome screen. Along with that, it's lighter, it's thinner, it's faster. Like I said, 25% thinner, so just nearly as thin as the MacBook Air. They've taken out the optical drive. That's kind of something they silently talked about. He mentioned, like, taking out legacy hardware. And if you think of it, I know personally I don't really use physical or CD media that much, and I happen to have one here, ironically, because I was using this for Linux ISO. But other than that, and if I do need to use it, there's so many other ways I can actually, configure a CD or use a CD, whether it's a super drive or an external drive or over the network. And that's what Apple provides. They provide multiple methods as well. With their new upcoming super drive and stuff like that, you get external drives to use. So this new MacBook Pro slims down on that, and it integrates USB 3.0. It integrates NVIDIA GeForce GT 650M graphics, I believe, along with Intel HD graphics. It switches between the two. Obviously, the Intel Ivy Bridge chipset. It's just faster, it's thinner, it's more efficient, and the little things that Apple does. So they kind of did a breakdown of the new architecture and design within the MacBook Pro. They have this really great video that you can check out on their website. But the little things like the fan, they talked about the fan and how it's using asymmetric, I think, toward sort of a grid alignment of the blades, and how in this way the air kind of flows more efficiently in terms of it takes it in and it flows it out more efficiently, so that it's quieter. The way it disperses the sound, it's all the science stuff into it, but it's much more quieter and low profile in terms of when the fans rev up. Small stuff like that is what makes Apple a great company and stuff. That the small things like fans and sounds and how loud it'll be when it overheats. And there goes my Skype. They take that into account. So definitely something to check out. I think it retails base model for $2,200 if I'm not mistaken, for the 15-inch with 2.6 gigahertz i7, 750 gigabytes of hard disk drive, and 8 gigs RAM is your 2,200 15-inch Retina model, I believe. So, the latest MacBook Pro, fast, efficient, and it's all it's much more lightweight now, and it's still that powerhouse that everybody loves. So I think this is going to be a really popular seller with its upcoming release, obviously. Alright, now moving on. From there, they talked about software and OS X Mountain Lion. Mountain Lion is the upgrade kind of from Lion to... It's kind of like how Snow Leopard went to Snow Leopard. It's not, a whole new interface in that it's adding a lot of new features, but it's a lot of stuff that you'll recognize from iOS. So in a way, I like to sum up Mountain Lion as kind of taking iOS and taking OS X and unifying them. It takes, they mentioned like the top 8 features. I'm going to go through them really quickly. iCloud, Notification Center, Dictation, Sharing, New Safari, Power Nap, AirPlay Mirroring. Just to highlight some of those, so Notification Center, you guys all know that is the feature when you swipe down on your phone to... Whoops, I'm on Instagram there. So when you swipe down on your phone, mine's jailbroken, you get these little updates. You get these little small widgets, weather stuff like that. So now they're going to have, I think they have updated widgets and stuff like that coming with iOS 6, but we'll talk about that later on. But Notification Center is now built into Mountain Lion. You can use gestures to kind of slide it in. It comes in on the bottom or side right. On the right side, I'm not sure if you can adjust that. Dictation, they now have the ability to dictate speech. So anywhere you can type on the Mac, you can now dictate. You can speak to your Mac and it'll take the words in speech to text. And it actually works pretty well if you ever use it on the phone. There goes my dog. Power Nap is also a new feature which basically allows you to enable your Mac to update itself while it's in sleep. So you can take your Mac and while it's sleeping it backs up, does system updates, fetches your mail, does all this stuff in the background, low profile, and doesn't take a lot of battery consumption, and it keeps it totally silent. It doesn't rev up your laptop fans while while it's docked or charging. And it has a cool feature so that like when you plug it in, let's say you take your MacBook Pro home and then you dock it, as soon as it recognizes it's charging, it starts to back up all your application data and all that. It does really cool stuff and checks out the Mac App Store for latest updates on your applications on your MacBook Pro, all this awesome stuff that just kind of runs in the background. Alright, with that, let's move into iOS 6 here. iOS 6 is the last thing they talked about. And truly, I wasn't, super, what do you call that? Pleased with iOS 6. I mean, it's great and all that, but basically they have some cool new features. Siri improvements is one of the big things. That's awesome. Siri was in beta. I guess it's still technically in beta. But they did some improvements, so now it has better recognition for sports events, so you can ask it questions around surrounding sports. You can talk to it about restaurants and stuff like that. It just has it can answer more detailed questions in those areas. Along with that, it can now launch applications, so you can tell it to launch, for example, Safari or you know. Weather notes if you're too lazy to find the icon, I guess. Facebook and Twitter support. It has built-in social networking support from Notification Center. It has new in-call options. This is probably one of the things that's really cool. So that if somebody's calling you now, it has this new menu where you can say, like, let's say you're in a meeting or you're at school or in a place where you can't talk, you can actually hit a button and say reply with text, and you can send in one of the pre-programmed text messages like call me back in a minute, or hang on, or I'm driving or something of that sort. So you can automatically just click a button, hands for, or even not look down and just click a button and sort all that out. You also have stuff where you can set, what do you call that, specifications for when people can contact you. So now you can kind of have it set like do not disturb feature. So when if you go to sleep from like 10 at night to 5 in the morning, then you can set that whole time so that you get no sounds, beeps, buzzes, or whatever during that time period. You'll still get your missed call notifications, you'll get your emails and all that. They'll stay in notification center. They just won't alert you at all until you wake up. You can also have it so that certain people can't contact you during certain times, or if they call you, for example, let's say somebody calls you and then you're on your do not disturb mode. If they call you twice within a certain interval of time, like it's an emergency, then that second call will go through in case like it's somebody's in danger or anything of that sort. They also did a lot of other underlying features in iOS 6 or stuff like mail VIP features, so you can have like special contacts. If anybody contacts you on your mail, then you can get special notifications. Easier to import photo and video into text or text fields. The new Maps features is really awesome. They basically reworked Maps. Obviously, they ditched Google Maps and they used, I think it's called Open Maps. They purchased a company not too long ago and they're using their whole architecture, even though they said they redesigned it from the ground up, which is really cool. 3D model views, really cool what they call flyover. I think it's called flyover mode. It just has really, really nice integration in terms of fluidity that iOS offers. It takes that and it integrates it so well into Maps. And they also brought what a lot of people want is turn-by-turn navigation. So now you have your own little GPS, or a better GPS sort of application within the new Maps application. Other than that, really, Maps in-call options were my favorite features, I guess, in iOS 6. I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff that I'm missing out on and not mentioning, but those are my two worthy mentions. Overall, WWDC was a pretty good conference. Sadly, I did not get to cover it live like I always do with my good friend Duncan. We both missed it. But iOS 6 is looking good, or decent, I guess. Mountain Lion is looking decent. Nothing special. And I apologize for the background noise. And the new Macs, obviously, are looking great. The new MacBook Pro is really awesome. I believe they're doing some silent updates to other models like the Mac Pro. So they're doing some quiet behind-the-scenes updates. So check out the Apple Store. Anyways, guys, it's good to be back. And don't forget to head over to digitaldojos.com for all your tech news, reviews, and more. And more videos to come.